Have you ever left a perfectly normal conversation only to spend the next 3 hours dissecting every single word you said? It is that agonizing mental replay where you examine your tone, your posture, and that one awkward joke that nobody laughed at. You lie awake at night, cringing at a sentence that the other person likely forgot the very second you finished speaking it. This isn't just being careful with words, it is a sophisticated form of self-torture we call post-event rumination. Meet Felix, a man whose mind is a 24-hour courtroom where he is simultaneously the defendant, the prosecutor, and the judge. Felix can recall a conversation from 3 years ago with terrifying clarity, still feeling the sting of a perceived social mistake. He walks through life with an invisible recorder constantly running, playing back his failures on a high-definition loop in his head. To the world, Felix is just a bit quiet, or perhaps a little shy, but inside, he is fighting a war of perceptions. The truth is that Felix doesn't overthink because he is conceited. He overthinks because he is terrified of being misunderstood. We often believe that if we can just find the perfect way to speak, we can finally control how others feel about us. But for Felix, and perhaps for you, overthinking is a desperate attempt to predict a rejection that hasn't even happened yet. Felix grew up in an environment where the emotional climate was unpredictable, and saying the wrong thing had real consequences. He learned early on that hyper-vigilance was his only protection against sudden shifts in the moods of the adults around him. He became an expert at mind reading, trying to solve the puzzle of what people actually meant behind their polite, distant smiles. He learned to edit his personality in real time, cutting out the parts of himself that felt too loud, too weird, or too much. As an adult, this survival habit has morphed into a paralyzing fear of being found out as socially incompetent or fundamentally flawed. When a conversation ends, Felix's brain immediately begins the audit, a frantic search for any evidence that he made a fool of himself. It tells him that the slight pause before someone replied was actually a sign of secret judgment or deep hidden disgust. Instead of remembering the connection, Felix only remembers the errors, treating a social interaction like a software program that needs debugging. He overthinks because he treats every chat like a high-stakes performance where one wrong line could ruin his entire reputation forever. This behavior is often fueled by spotlight syndrome, the irrational belief that everyone is paying as much attention to you as you are. Felix feels that a giant magnifying glass is following him, highlighting every stutter, every blush, and every moment of silent, awkward hesitation. There is a deep, hidden belief that if he isn't perfect, he is fundamentally unworthy of belonging to the group or being loved. For people like Felix, a casual hello in the hallway can trigger an hour of intense analysis about the exact pitch of the greeting. They aren't living in the moment, they are living in the replay, forever stuck in a past that they cannot change. But Felix's constant overthinking comes with a heavy price. He is physically present, but emotionally, he's 1,000 miles away. Each hour spent ruminating is an hour he isn't actually connecting with the person standing right in front of him in the now. He builds a wall of perfectly polished responses that eventually becomes a prison where his true, spontaneous self is locked away. The analysis loop creates a deep exhaustion that makes him want to avoid social interactions altogether, just to find some quiet. Felix looks at the world and wonders how everyone else can just talk without feeling like they are walking through a minefield. He feels like he is translating his soul into a foreign language that he hasn't quite mastered, constantly checking for grammar mistakes. The tragedy is that while he's worrying about being judged, he is missing the warmth and the genuine human acceptance offered. But there is a way for Felix to turn off the courtroom lights and finally let himself just exist in the conversation. It begins with the realization that people are far too busy worrying about their own awkwardness to spend time judging yours. You are the protagonist of your own story, but you are merely a background character in the stories of most people you meet. Healing starts when Felix learns to recognize the rumination alarm, that specific cold feeling in his stomach after a social event. Instead of diving into the replay, he can practice the 24-hour rule, refusing to analyze any conversation until a full day has passed. He can learn to embrace the art of being awkward, realizing that small social mistakes are actually what make us human and relatable. Perfect people are intimidating and boring. It is our stumbles and our weird jokes that actually build the bridges of real friendship. Choosing to be real over being perfect is a radical act of self-kindness that breaks the power of the inner judge. Felix must also learn to forgive the child who had to be hyper-aware just to feel a small sense of safety at home. He needs to tell that younger version of himself that he doesn't have to be a mind reader anymore to be worthy of love. Real connection is not found in the right words, it is found in the shared space of being two messy, imperfect humans. It is through our vulnerability, the very things we try to hide, that the light of real intimacy finally manages to shine through. Imagine Felix sitting at a coffee shop with a friend, realizing he just said something slightly weird, and then just letting it go. He doesn't grab the thought. He doesn't start the replay. He just takes a sip of his coffee and listens to the birds. That single moment of not caring is the most courageous and liberating thing Felix has ever done in his entire adult life. It is the moment the defendant walks out of the courtroom and into the bright, warm sunshine of a real, unscripted afternoon. You don't have to be a social genius to be a good friend. You just have to be there, messy thoughts and all. The people who truly matter will love you for your glitches, not in spite of them, because that is where the magic is. Every time Felix stops a replay, his internal courtroom loses one more heavy, cold, and judgmental stone from its high walls. He discovers that the world is a lot more forgiving and a lot less observant than his anxious mind ever allowed him to see. You are allowed to be misunderstood. You are allowed to be awkward. You are allowed to just say what's on your mind. Your worth is not a performance that can be graded. It is a constant fact that remains true even when you stumble. If you overthink every conversation, please know that the only person holding you to these impossible standards is actually just you. You have spent so much time editing your script that you've forgotten how beautiful the raw, unedited version of your soul is. The path to social freedom is not through better talking, but through a deeper acceptance of your own inherent goodness as you are. You are safe now, and the judgmental eyes you fear are usually just a reflection of the judge living inside your head. Take another deep breath, let the replay stop, and realize that you did just fine in that conversation. Truly. I'm Leo, and I hope this note reminds you that you are much more than the mistakes you think you made. Goodbye for now.